I was at the first Comic-Con ever held on the planet Earth. I was 13 years old. It was at a rundown Fleabag hotel downtown New York called the Broadway Central. Now, probably the weekend of Lincoln's inauguration, this place was palatial. But circa 1964, 1965, not so much. And I had begged my parents, I had been reading in fanzines. I was part of the earliest days of the organizing of comic book fandom. And I was a subscriber to all these great original fanzines like Alter Ego, the Rockets Blast Comic Collector, Batmania. And I heard about this thing called a Comic-Con. And back then it was C-O-M-I, capital C-O-N, Comic-Con. 200 of us were going to meet in person. It was amazing. Face to face, well, more accurately then, it was pimple to pimple. And I begged my parents to take us. It was me and my friend Bobby. So my parents decided to give up their July 4th weekend, drive us to New York City. We go walk into the Broadway Central, and the first thing is there's a drunk guy unconscious in the lobby, and we have to step over him in order to get in. And we go to check in, and there's roaches on the wall, and my mother says, "Turn around, we are going home, we are out of here." So I appealed to the Supreme Court, my dad. My dad went over and gradually talked my mom down. I couldn't understand why she was so upset. I mean, after all, the rooms, well, they were $3.75 a night. That's $3.75 a night. So finally, my mom calmed down. She said, "All right." She said, "Go to the comic book convention. Don't touch anything." So Bobby and I go to walk. This is about 9:30 in the morning. We walk past the sketchiest bar in New York City, which was in the lobby of the Broadway Central. And who do I see sitting in there? It's Otto Binder. Otto Binder, for those of you who don't know, was the creator of Black Adam, the Marvel family, Mary Marvel, and worked for Fawcett Comics. He was the primary Captain Marvel writer of the 40s and 50s. When Captain Marvel and Fawcett Comics shut down, he went over to DC to Mort Weisiger, and he co-created Supergirl, the Legion of Superheroes, Brainiac, Krypto, the Superdog. Otto was amazing, and he was my first mentor in the comic book business. I had spent 10 hours at his house one Sunday, and he was the guy who introduced this 13-year-old kid into the world of comic book lore, the history of comics, how the comic book industry started, how DC and Marvel started, how all these different great superheroes were created. I was getting it right from the horse's mouth. And when I was at his house, I met his daughter, Mary. Mary Marvel, Mary Binder, there's a connection. She was this gorgeous, gorgeous older woman. She was probably almost 14. And, you know, that was it. My head was spinning, and it was great. And this was a girl who knew all about comic books. I said, "Well, I like your dad. I'm really a big fan of your dad's. I have all these old Captain Marvel comic books." And she said, "Excuse me, they were called Captain Marvel Adventures." I go, "Okay, I found the woman of my dreams." So we go to the sketchy bar, and there's Otto with his daughter, beautiful daughter Mary, and another man. And we walk in, Bobby and I go, Otto, hi." He goes, "Bobby, Mike, come on in." So two 13-year-old boys walk into the sketchy bar. We sit down, Otto says, "What are you guys drinking?" Now, one look at the bartender, who looked like Long John Silver from the movie Treasure Island, without the parrot. And we could have ordered anything. So we ordered a couple of Cokes, and we're sitting there, and he said, "Are you boys gonna get dressed up tonight for the superhero masquerade?" Because they didn't know what to do. There were 200 of us at the first Comic-Con, 197 boys and 3 girls. So the question was, what are we gonna do on Saturday night? And they said, "Okay, let's just tell everybody to come dressed up as their favorite superheroes." Folks, in my humble opinion, that was the night cosplay was born. And I was there in a Sandman 1940 costume. Remember DC Sandman with the gas mask? My mom helped me make it. I was there, and Bobby was dressed as the Shadow. So we told Otto, and the guy sitting next to him, he said, "You know, the Shadow was the primary influence on the creation of Batman." And we go, "Wow, we didn't know that." He said, "Are you boys real big Batman fans?" And we go, "Yeah, we really, really are." And then Otto looked at me and he said, Michael, Bobby, how would you like to meet the creator of Batman? Yeah. Michael, Bobby, meet Bill Finger. I am probably one of only 2 people left alive who actually met Bill Finger. And this incredible man, from his mouth, told me how Batman was created. For those of you that don't know the story of Bill Finger, it's a sad story. There's a great documentary out called Bill and Me, or Batman and Bill. I think it's Batman and Bill, right? Bill Finger met Bob Kane at a party, and Bob said, hey, you're a great writer. I'm not a writer. They asked me at DC Comics to create a superhero because this Superman thing has really taken off. So I have this great idea for this guy. I originally was going to call him Birdman, but I decided to call him Batman. And he showed Bill a drawing of a guy in a red costume with a little mask and bat wings coming out of his back. And Bill looked at it and said, well, what is this guy? What does he do? What are his powers? He said, well, I haven't really thought that through yet. So Bill said, well, Bob, if he's a Batman, he should be dark. Bats are nocturnal. So why don't you color his costume like black and gray and dark blue? And instead of that little mask, why don't you give him like a cowl with horns on it and make him look more like a bat? And Bob, he said, Superman has superpowers. Why don't you go in the opposite direction? Why don't we make him human? So instead of bat wings, give him a cape that looks like bat wings. Oh, and it would be great if he had a belt and could have special things in his belt to help him fight crime. Oh, and he should have gloves. And, it would be great if you white out his eyes. It'll make him look a lot more mysterious. So now I ask you folks, who is the primary creator of Batman?
Bill Finger.
Bill Finger died penniless in 1974, an alcoholic. Bill Finger never received credit as the co-creator of Batman. Bob Kane's contract ensured that only he would be credited for that. And it has only been since The Dark Knight that decency has prevailed, and Bill Finger is now credited as the co-creator of Batman, and his family, his granddaughters, his great-grandson are honored and part of the family. And I tell you this for a reason. And I'm going to, let me just wrap up this part with one anecdote. It was our premiere of the movie Dark Knight. I like that one. And there was a party, there was a dinner party thrown by DC Comics, a tavern on the Green in Central Park. And I'm sitting with Jerry Robinson and his wife. Jerry was about 90 years old. Jerry is the co-creator of Joker. He's the co-creator of Robin. He's the co-creator of Alfred. He's the co-creator of so many of the villains. And again, never credited. He was a ghost artist. So I said to Jerry, how are you and your wife getting to the premiere? He said, well, we're going to walk out onto the street and we'll hail a cab. I said, no, you're coming in the limousine with me. So he came in with my family, and as we're pulling up to the theater, the crowds for blocks are thick. A lot of people dressed as Batman, a lot of people dressed as Joker. And we pull up to the front of the theater where the red carpet is, and it looks like there's a half a mile of paparazzi and TV cameras. And as we get out of the limo, Jerry says to me, I'll walk around back and I will meet you inside. And I said, no, Jerry, you are coming on the red carpet with me. My son David, thank goodness, had his cell phone and was able to take pictures to document what happened next. Because right there, coming out of her car, was Athena Finger, Bill Finger's granddaughter. I said, Athena, come on. We get to the edge of the red carpet, and I just, at the top of my lungs, I go, ladies and gentlemen, this is Jerry Robinson, the co-creator of the Joker and Robin. With that, the paparazzi start to turn. The TV cameras start to turn. It took Jerry 30 minutes to get through the red carpet.